Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
I remember when the ATL wasn't banging, now they banging, 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 banging. Niggas throwing sets and them bullets start ringing, bitches banging, 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 banging. I remember when the ATL wasn't banging, now they banging, 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 banging. Niggas throwing sets and them bullets start ringing like bang, bang, oh, bang, bang, bitch, nigga, bang, bang, oh, bang, bang, oh.
Peace. What's going on? What's happening? Hey, we in the Thought Box, man. Hey, and if you rock out with MD's Thought Box, check me out every Tuesdays and Wednesdays over at the Straight Talk Society with Trevor. I'm over there every Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Tuesday, 6:30. We got TFP, Take Fist Politics, y'all, where we talking about the latest in the news and what's happening in politics right now. With my homeboy, Vancat, producer extraordinaire, Ricardo, and Mike. I'm over there Tuesday, 6:30. Then you got Wednesday, Wrestling with Reality, 6:05 on TBS, the Superstation. I mean, Straight Talk Society, Trev, myself, Vancat, and a host of others. We over there rocking out, talking about what's going on in wrestling right now. We talking about the pay-per-views. We bringing the nostalgia to you. Everything wrestling, we over there talking about it. Wednesdays, 6:05. Check me out over there, the family-friendly version now. MD, Straight Talk Society. Boom.
Team 4K got slapped with
Walking down,
pipe.
still got on these shades, even though it ain't night, cause they little pink pills too hard. Let's go on a SRT with a Draco tank, got a little boy way, can't sleep at night.
You gotta go get your motherfucking dough. You gotta run, say fuck all that hoe. I was just broken, I didn't have a friend, so I went in the trap and I sold me some dope.
Let's
For
go.
real.
Poppin' purse, make her suck dick for an hour, get to work. I told the bitch to get nasty for double. She bought her best friend, they for each other. Okay, for me, make her fuck my brother. Got a team full of players, free band, no struggle.
Big 4K down to the door.
Might get in there, mo, go dig with shovel. Break out the chopstick, hit on wherever. Broad daylight, bitch, I'ma get on wherever. Let's go. Double O walk on this bitch, but I like to talk on this bitch.
Hold on.
Perkins said walk on this bitch, then Perkins said talk on this bitch.
Hold on.
I just be geeking out drugs, taking all kinds of shit. Bitch wanna fuck, she fine. You see all kind of bitch.
Running through the design, don't care about shit. I can work one time, though. Rich little man got shot, you slap, little boy, you a bitch. 15 ball, one play on me. 15
Peace. What's going on? What's happening? Hey, Vatcat, can you hear me?
I hear you, MD.
All right, cool. What's
I'm
happening?
in the
What's going on?
thought box,
Yeah,
and I
man,
got some thoughts.
impromptu show. I just wanted to come up here real quick. We ain't gonna be up here too long. This tariff situation is troubling. It is troubling. And I don't think that the way it's been covered, a span of 24 hours now, I don't think it's been covered the way that I feel it needs to be covered vis-a-vis the severity and the possible outcomes that this will face. The markets already showed you what's going on. The markets already showed you. You know, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of the other implications. I got a particular bone to pick with Vatcat today, as far as, you know, his people, the union guys. We're gonna talk. I need Vatcat to break all that down, and we'll get into a couple other things. I also got the list. We'll look at some of the countries on the list, which is asinine. So we'll discuss all that. First and foremost, Vatcat, what's up?
Well, I'm just chilling, MD, trying to get my stuff back together. It is great to be back on the thought box. Don't know if Ricardo gonna be here tonight, but should be a great show.
Yeah. I extended the olive branch out to Ricardo. Actually, he's so active on the group chat. He ain't been active too much today, so hopefully everything all right with him. If he see it, he'll I'm pretty sure he'll hop in if he got time, because I want to ask him about what he feels about the whole Canada-Mexico exemption. That's kind of weird, but I also understand it based off the auto tariffs. It's just a whole clusterfuck is what it is at the end of the day. But first and foremost, you put some things in the group chat earlier. I do have that stuff. Let's go ahead and go to the video that you put together, and we'll talk about that first. So let me bring that up. All right, here we go.
To defend America and everything that Trump is doing. We're putting tariffs on Switzerland, but not Russia. I mean, this is like a bad Saturday Night Live skit. And this guy has no idea what he's doing. He's a criminal. He's corrupt. And Republicans are just all in.
I think it's important, and this is courtesy of our friend Steve Ratner, to look back at the last time that tariffs were put on by Donald Trump. 2018. One example. It caused prices on washing machines to go up $200 on average. But when those tariffs were rescinded, that was during the Biden administration, the price of a washer went down just $75, so you can do math, a net loss for the American consumer of $125.
All right, we're gonna stop right there, Vatcat, because that's the point that you want to get into.
Yeah.
So break that part of the video. I mean, that's pretty much the end of the video anyway. But break that part down and give clarity on what they were trying to portray with that particular stat. And then I'll give you my point.
Well, okay. I mean, I'll say what I was saying earlier. That's essentially a forever tax. So I at least I didn't realize that you can set a tariff and then down the road you can reverse the tariff and things don't go back to the way it was. you're still paying more than you initially were paying. So, like they said, it went up $200, but then they only had a $75 difference come off of it. So you're still paying more in the long run. So that's like a forever tax for me, the way I look at it. And that's kind of crazy because we're looking at things, and people have said this forever, that, it doesn't matter who's in the White House. And if they don't work out, we'll just vote their ass out in 4 years. Well, the problem with that theory, as this point is showing, is that there are consequences that stick. And you really don't have a way to fix it. I don't know how this is making anything better. Why would you knowingly go into a situation that's bad for you, thinking that there's no comeuppings or repercussions that you're going to face, and you could just clean it up with the next administration? It doesn't work like that, as this video just illustrated. So that's an even bigger problem. It was bad when I didn't realize this aspect, but if you add this on here, it's horrendous. So you go ahead and say what you're going to say now, MD.
No, just on the outset, I agree with you 100%. You can look at it as a forever tax, but we all know, based on what COVID did, the reasoning behind it only going down $75, if we're going to use this example. And the clear reason is that these manufacturers, if we're going to use this particular example of said washing machine, price gouged that washing machine. That's just a fact. They took a situation where they had no choice but to up a price on a particular item. And when that ended and measures were taken into place from a different administration to ease that pain on that particular item, they chose to just give a little. Can we meet halfway on that?
I totally get what you're saying. That's the same thing that happened with the eggs and all the other issues.
Exactly.
With inflation, because inflation was 9% or upwards of 10%, and then by the time Biden was getting out, it was under 3%. But the people didn't feel any difference because the grocery stores still charged that higher price because they realized people were expecting to pay high prices anyway, so they wouldn't question it.
Exactly.
But that's a problem for me. I want to just say this piece. The problem for me with that is that's why you don't get yourself into it to begin with, to allow yourself to be exploited in this way. Now, that problem and what you're saying.
Well, COVID wasn't an exploit. I mean, COVID was a situation that happened spontaneously without any man-made decisions. So the higher prices were expected. So I'm not going to say we just don't put ourselves in that position, because sometimes it can't be helped, a la COVID. So,
but shouldn't the administrations, whether it's a Republican administration or a Democrat administration, shouldn't the administration make the individual companies that are participating in this kind of activity, they should target their ass, right, and put them and do whatever policy necessary to make their life a living hell for exploiting the country during economic turmoil times and going on. I think that something that should happen, but it doesn't, because both parties are extremely capitalistic, and they really don't care about the individual person, the American workers and whatnot. They're looking at just the bottom line overall of a corporation making money. Even the Democrats think like that. But I think this is where you have that mindset, you let it happen, and it becomes this bigger problem. And Biden found out that really is what burdened his campaign. Had the prices got stabilized and handled earlier in his administration, if he would have went after those bastards that participated in that and made it where it isn't cool to exploit the economy that way, he would have had a different outcome in trying to be reelected.
Well, again, I agree with that, but we're talking about during the situation during COVID. Biden didn't have a chance to do that.
Oh no. I mean, COVID is one thing, and that's a different standard because the government was giving money out, and they helped. You know, they gave 600 initially, 600 for people on unemployment. They had all kinds of legislation they put out there to help people that weren't working at the time. COVID was not the issue. Like 2020, that wasn't the issue. I'm talking more like in 2022, when you're like a couple years.
I agree with that. Yeah.
He sat on his hands, and these companies continued exploiting the country.
Yeah.
During a time of recovery. That's
in
not
reality. Cool. In reality, Biden didn't address it until he made it a campaign issue in late 2023, 2024.
Exactly.
And then it carried on to Kamala. So you spot on with that. So at least me and you agree on what the root issue is. The root issue is price gouging. That's just a fact.
Right.
Prices go up for whatever particular reason, whether it be inflation, historic event, whatever the situation may be. And then when programs and policies are implemented to alleviate that, they choose not to do it. That is as simple as that. Trump don't give a damn about that. Trump only gave a damn about it when people were bitching about it when it came to the price of eggs. Mm-hmm. And that's a singular issue. Eggs ain't the only thing that got price gouged. Mm-hmm. If you haven't noticed, you know. So yeah, me and you are in agreement. You know, it's a singular issue as it pertains to what it is, and what it is price gouging. Either Congress or through some type of executive action, they got to get that down. We know it can be done because Trump just did it with the eggs. And he didn't do it in any type of spectacular way. They only went down a few cents. We act like eggs are just, wow, I can go get a carton of eggs now for $1.50. No. You know, of course he gonna exaggerate it. And it's all bullshit. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, me and you agree on that. Me and you agree on that. We have to understand that these companies are gonna wrench out the very last drop of water out of the sponge. That's just a fact. And if you're going to allow them to do it, they're going to keep doing it. So, you know.
That's dangerous stuff. That's really dangerous stuff. And both parties need to be more aggressive on companies exploiting the country in these kind of times.
Shout out to Tequila. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Tequila?
Yeah, they need to do it through legislation.
Yeah.
That's really, I mean, executive action, that's cool, but executive action don't carry over. We need something that's like that's written down that's going to carry over from administration to administration.
Yeah.
Making sure that the shit don't happen.
That's what I'm saying. If I was in Washington, if I was the president or whatnot, they wouldn't want to do that crap when I'm there. I'll make their life a living hell. Like, I mean, you think Trump is unstable and whatnot. I mean, and all I would do is, I mean, I don't know why Biden didn't do this, but he's the president. He was the president of the United States. He has the power to come on TV and those special, like, oh, it's a primetime address by the president. He just come on TV and just starts painting a picture of like, hey, you're having hard times economically. It's because of such and such company, this company, that millionaire, just point them out. Smile, a picture with them smiling. Just look at that. They just having a great time at your expense. Like, I would completely paint that picture. So now I got the American people. Even if it's half, that's good enough for me. And then I'll just go all out war on them until it makes their life a living hell. And they couldn't do nothing about it because you would have had the backing of people that are already frustrated with the prices. Right. You just need to know who did it.
Essentially, what you're talking about is the bully pulpit. And he didn't use it.
No.
And he didn't use it so much so that he allowed Trump to put the blame on him. And it worked.
Yeah, that's ridiculous stuff, man. Yep.
And it worked. So we got that out of the way. I'm glad that we was able to get that out of the way. And get some type of commonality when it came to that subject. Because like I said, I when you put the video in earlier, I was like, okay, let me see where it's gonna go with it. Now, let's get into this tariff list. Because like I said, it doesn't make any sense, back there. Have you seen the full list? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, my bad, back there. Yeah, I got you back now.
No. I was saying I just see that stupid poster board Trump was holding up, but I didn't really like get to see specifically what was on the list.
Okay. All right. So I got the Guardian pulled up. The Guardian got the full list, and they got the full list on the White House website too. So
I can't trust anything on the White House. I can't trust anything on the White House list these days.
Hey, man, if you go to their Twitter account,
Yeah.
I mean they constantly post it. I mean they post like 100 times a day, just nonsense. None of it makes sense.
I'm sure
but it says
Trump rhetoric too.
It is. U.S. President Donald Trump yesterday produced a chart of all the new tariffs he was announcing, affecting trade with countries across the world. Here's the list as he displayed it. Now, this, like again, what Trump had wasn't the full list. He just had a few. So I don't know why they worded it that way, but we're just gonna go through a few of them. Of course, you got China. Now here's the thing. China is at the top of the list for a reason. Trust me. China's tariff is at 34% reciprocal. The tariffs charged to the USA, 67%. That's bullshit. I heard all day long, and see, I don't usually like look at like the financial channels like CNBC, Bloomberg, all that stuff. But that's all I was watching all day long because I was trying to figure out like what the heck, where are these numbers coming from? Like, what is this? And they figured it out. So the 67% at the top with China, that's like not a real thing. China doesn't charge 67% tariff on the United States. What they did was, and again, this is stupidity. What they did was they went by the quote unquote trade deficit, which is also bullshit. Meaning how much we export to that country versus how much they import to us. And they come up with a number. That number is 67%. So basically, it's going to be a high number with China because we damn near get everything from China. 67% deficit, them importing versus us exporting. Then he divided that in half and came up with 34. That's not real. It's not real at all. I think they said the actual number of what China tariffs up is like 7-8%. So China is tariffing us 7-8%. Again, those are target tariffs, by the way. Versus now we're doing them 34%, but that's not all. Remember, Venkat, last month we put a 20% tariff on China for the fentanyl stuff. So now China, the stuff coming from China is about to be 54% higher. That's damn near everything in Walmart, Venkat.
Yeah. Not to mention things that are partially from China, like cars have parts.
Right.
Like furniture. I mean, there's all kinds of things that have little parts here and there that comes from different places.
Yeah.
That's a mess.
So that 54% from China alone is gonna kill us as far as our domestic economy. It's gonna kill us. Everything is about. We haven't even seen the 20% yet because China has such a long what do they call it, supply chain. It takes it's a chain between China versus it coming here. It's like a train. We haven't even seen the 20% tariffs yet reflected over here. Now they're about to add 34% to it.
I don't even go on AliExpress no more. I can't order nothing off
AliExpress.
I can't even order nothing no more. I mean, my God, it's crazy.
Man, my kids, they addicted. What is that called? Temu.
Temu, yeah.
They addicted to it, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, it's like every time I come home, there's some shit coming from Temu.
Well, I mean, AliExpress is great because they got those old video game systems and whatnot. They put like 3,000 games on one cartridge, and
Yeah,
great.
yeah, man. So yeah, well, that's about to be 50% more higher now.
Oh Lord!
Like I said, that's literally everything. Now here's the dumbassery. European Union, which we know is a block of countries, they got them at 20%. Now just burn that in the back of your head. 20% for the EU. Vietnam, that's another country where they make a lot of cheap shit that we buy.
Yep.
In Vietnam, 46%. 46. That's like your clothing. You know, y'all like Jordans. A lot of that stuff comes from Vietnam. Remember, what were they saying last month? Nike moved a lot of stuff from China to Vietnam to try to get away from the tariffs.
Wow.
So much for that.
Yeah, that's affecting businesses in a way big way that it's not good.
So, you know, I like wearing Jordans. I like Air Max. All that shit. Hell, you thought it was hot now. Hey, I don't know what to tell you. Taiwan, 32%. Again, we know the situation with Taiwan with the computer chips. So all your like my grandma used to say, your video games, all your video games, all your computers, your cell phones are about to go higher. It's just a fact.
My MD, it doesn't really seem like there's much to it. It just seems like math for dummies where I'll just cut it in half. Like there's like no like nuance from country to country. It's just a straight down, just cut it in half.
But the number itself is not based on anything, though, Vanky. That's what I'm telling you.
I know.
It's based on a dumbass idea, a trade deficit. We are the richest country in the world, Van Cat. Literally every country in the world is gonna have a trade deficit with us because we buy all the shit. This is stupid.
Yeah.
Like it's pure dumbassery.
What a time to do this too. Like country's already shaky as is. The world is shaky as is.
Yeah. So I told you, remember the European Union. Let me see if I can find it.
United Kingdom.
Now, check this out. Now the UK. We know the UK is no longer part of the European Union because of Brexit.
Yeah.
That Brexit was stupid. They regretting Brexit to a certain degree right now. They regretting it. But because they're not a part of the European Union, they only got 10% tariff.
Yeah.
Today I was watching CNBC today. You know how much they said the UK on average has tariffs on the United States? It was 1.8%. 1.8%. Now remember, he said it's going to be a baseline 10% tariff. So I don't give a damn if you got 0.001% tariff on the United States, you're going to pay a 10% tariff. Asinine.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Asinine. So essentially what they did, this is what they did, Van Cat, because we dealing with a whole bunch of stupid people. For some of these countries that got low-end tariffs on the United States, they couldn't come up with no type of equation for it. So they said, fuck it, we're just going to do 10%. I don't care how much it is. If it's lower than 10%, that is 10%. Wow. And then they went from there.
And math for dummies.
That's what it is. Now this one was a shock. Israel at 17%. I wouldn't have thought that. Well, I guess we dealing with Trump at the end of the day. So right. I guess he kind of figured, hey, you know, we giving you all these damn bombs and missiles and stuff to blow up these people over there in Gaza. I guess you give us a little, you know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah.
So let me. I'm trying to find this particular country. Colombia, Peru, Nicaragua, New Zealand, Ecuador, Myanmar. Now they just got destroyed
Yeah.
Thousands of people dead, and you charging them 44% in
Now,
tariff.
now Myanmar, that's AKA really called Burma.
Yeah,
I
Burma.
mean,
Yeah.
the atrocities that they did over the decades, it's so embarrassing that they had to change the name of the damn place. That's how horrible that is.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't even recognize them as that weird ass name. That's Burma.
Yeah. And I mean, currently, right now, they going through a civil war.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's always a war. It's always a
Yeah.
war. Just like Africa. There's always a genocide or some kind of war happening in some part of the map on Africa. Constant. Sometimes
Yeah.
multiple at the same time.
Yeah. They saying, man, after it's all said and done, after the cleanup and everything, man, it could be upwards of 10,000 people dead
That's crazy. Unnecessary deaths.
in Myanmar from that earthquake.
Yeah.
Add on them killing each other. Hell,
Yeah.
it's gonna be more. That's a weird South Asian state, like.
Well, this is interesting, MD. El Salvador is just 10%. You would think with the amount of hater speech that Trump be giving about gangs and whatnot, you would think that it would be higher.
Well, they looked out for El Salvador because they took the Venezuelans from, so they looking out for them.
Well, that,
Yeah. They're like, man, y'all put him in the damn Chronicles of Riddick jail.
Mhm.
So, we gonna look out. We just gonna give you 10%. 10% for them. Now check out some of these other countries here. I ain't like Lesotho. I ain't even never heard of it. I don't even know where that's at.
Uh-huh.
Don't even know where that's at.
Got
But yeah,
Ukraine on there.
Yeah, they got Ukraine for 10%.
But I haven't seen
But no-
Russia yet.
No Russia. Now, going on that point, I can understand, but like I said, nobody explained this shit like at all.
No.
I can kind of understand it because you got heavy sanctions on Russia. You got heavy sanctions on them, meaning that you restricted the trade. But the fact of the matter is, there's still some trade going on with Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's true reciprocal tariffs, it don't matter how much trade it is, you're gonna pay tariff on it. So again, why is Russia not on? Yeah, but you're gonna put Ukraine on here. I would have thought it probably would have been higher for Ukraine because y'all would have made an excuse saying, "Oh, I'm giving y'all all this stuff." You're already trying to extort him. So
With the penguins.
Yeah.
Those penguins are negotiating hard right now.
Yeah. Liechtenstein. Again, crazy. Like, what did they come up with this stuff at? 37%. Liechtenstein. What the hell is coming in from Liechtenstein?
These sound like places that you find in movies when they can't use the real place, so they got to make up a whole area. They just made up Wakanda, so
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
I'm surprised Wakanda not on there. Trump's such a hater, such a racist. I would have expected Wakanda to be on there.
Venezuela, 15%. I mean, hell, you want to charge them a tariff, and again, I'm surprised that ain't 100%.
Yeah,
the way you talk about them, you know what I mean?
They got Ethiopia.
Yeah, Ethiopia 10%, Ghana 10%, Moldova. I guess he said Moldova. That's close enough.
Now notice the Democratic Republic of Congo. Just that word "democratic" is enough to add an extra 1% on the. I mean, this is how it works, people. This is the mind frame. Let me add a 1% extra on that one because they have Democrat in the title.
Yeah, they're radical left. We got to add another percent. And a lot of these places, like I said, they couldn't come up with that.
They let Jamaica slide. Oh man, they make Jamaica
Yeah.
slide. Oh goddamn.
Yeah. You only get 10% tariff on your beef patty. Only 10% tariff.
I was gonna pick one up, but then I realized it was gonna be bad service, so I just kept going.
So yeah, like I said, just a lot of crazy places. Like, I don't British Virgin Islands 10%.
That's what my mom
Afghanistan 10%. Benin, 10%. Syria, 41%. Syria. Like crazy. Cayman Islands, 10%.
Rwanda.
Like what the hell is going on? Just all these places. Turkmenistan. What the hell are we getting from Turkmenistan? This is crazy. Turks and Caicos, but all this stuff is essentially 10%. Now, if you look, a lot of these places, right? Let me find Equatorial Guinea, Maldives. I don't know why they ain't got this in alphabetical order.
I know.
This is crazy. Micronesia, French Guiana. So keep French Guiana in mind. Where is Martinique? That's what I'm looking for. I must have passed it, but they got Martinique at 10% too. Now here's a dumbass. French Guiana, Martinique. A lot of these islands, right? So if we go back up to the list, he got the European Union at 20%, but he got a lot of these territories at 10%. The dumbasses, Trump and whoever else came up with this list, don't even understand that these territories are part of the European Union. Dumbasses. They use the euro just like any other European country. Martinique exclusively has a seat at the European Union. Yet they only get 10%, but the whole of the European Union get it. Don't make sense, man. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
It doesn't. There's no consistency. There's no nothing. There's no subtleness to it at all. It's just weird. I don't get it.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. Another one that was crazy, and I didn't see it on the list either. A place I ain't never heard of too. The McDonald Islands. I ain't even never know no such thing as the McDonald Islands. I ain't never heard that
in my life.
So the McDonald Islands is it's Australian territory somewhere in the South Pacific. They were talking about it on CNBC earlier today. The McDonald Islands is an uninhabitable island, Vancat. Yet the McDonald Islands got a 10% tariff on it.
Oh my God.
So people were trying to figure out who was going to pay these tariffs, what company in the McDonald Islands is shipping stuff from the McDonald Islands and to the United States. So they had a protest in the McDonald Islands today.
Oh my God.
Vancat. So I got a picture of it. Let me show you the picture.
Yeah.
So they had a mass protest in the McDonald's, and the Penguins are not happy at all. They're not happy. They got signs up. They in protest.
Oh man, this is outrageous. What a hell of a time we living in, folks.
So as a matter of fact, they talking about putting retaliatory tariffs on the United States.
Well, there ain't nothing worse than when a penguin retaliates. My God.
So it's bad, Vancat. It's pretty bad.
Oh man, ain't no happy feet out there.
And no happy feet.
No.
At all. So that's what we're dealing with, folks.
Wow.
That's exactly what we're dealing with. Now,
you know, I mean, if TFP was going, that's lame duck type stuff going on here, man. That's legendary in its duckness.
So that's what I don't know what else to say about it. So Trump, he put out a tweet. Let me put that in here. So this is the tweet that he put out. I believe it was this morning. He said the operation is over. Now he's being melodramatic and trying to talk in parable, basically. He said the operation is over. The patient lived and is healing. The prognosis is that the patient will be far stronger, bigger, better, and more resilient than never before. Make America great again. Essentially, what he's trying to say is that The operation itself was the tariffs and Liberation Day. And now the country is going to heal based on companies coming back to the United States. Blah, 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 this and that. We've heard it before.
Which is such a fantasy of his.
And you know, even if it wasn't a fantasy, that there is no type of synthesizer or material synthesis that could take place that can. This ain't Sim City where you can just build something right there and get money from it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We're talking about years, if not decades, of building up an infrastructure that you want, i.e. manufacturing. The shit is not going to happen overnight. What we supposed to do, like, until then? You know, I don't even believe the shit. Let me put emphasis on that. But hypothetically speaking, right?
Yeah.
Hypothetically speaking, we're talking about decades of building back the manufacturing infrastructure. I guess we just supposed to be on the street till then. I don't know.
Exactly.
You know, I don't.
I mean,
I have no idea.
The economy is so much bigger and different than in the past, and the idea of doing crazy stuff like this that's earth shattering is kind of ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, you probably get away with this in the 1920s. You know, it wouldn't be as bad, but I mean, everything in the economy is so connected. It will be volatile to not just the United States, but everywhere worldwide. It's a big ass price to pay, and a lot of places not called America is going to also feel it. I don't know, man. This is just ridiculous. He got a dumbass. He should be in prison, and he's calling shots right now, and they all the wrong shots, people.
Right. Just put yourself in the shoes of a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate, right?
Right.
You know, I know, Venkat, it's hard for you to do that, but just imagine it for a second.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be in a position where I'm now gonna face a higher price to import my stuff to the people that buy it, because don't nobody else, except for like Western Europe, maybe some parts of Asia, but everybody knows America is the market. That's where you go and sell shit at.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. I'm put in a position now where I got this manufacturing plant somewhere in Laos or wherever it may be, that I pennies on the dollar, I can manufacture stuff and get 100, 200, 300, 400, 500% profit in America. You're going to put the tariff on me, and it's going to be an upcharge $50 to $100. That's still pennies to the profits that these people make.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? It's no incentive for me to go nowhere.
Exactly.
I'm making $500% profit on the stuff that I make. You're not putting a dent in anything that I do. Now, if we put it in another scenario and I'm in America making the same item or product, now you put me in a position where I got to start laying people off. That's just a fact. We're going to get into that later on too, because it's a story that came out today that, you know, in my opinion, if there was a lame duck for this week, it definitely would be this person. But I'm gonna save it for last.
Mm.
So that's the situation we dealing with. You're talking about, this Taiwanese company is supposed to be building a plant over here. That's only a fraction of the chips that we use in America. Only a fraction.
Right.
Why? And here's another thing. Taiwan. We're talking about Taiwan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw earlier this week, China was doing some type of military drill where they had the whole country of Taiwan surrounded. Taiwan, I saw a video, a guy was looking out of binoculars like, what the hell is going on? They about to invade our ass. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that's keeping them from not invading us is the fact that we make microchips basically for the world.
Right.
And every other country knows that this thing that we make is essential for the world moving and continuing to spin, basically. That's the only what Trump say. You don't hold the cards right now. Taiwan hold all the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Because if something happens to Taiwan and China takes over or blow up the chips and all that, the whole world it'll cease to stop spinning, basically. Because we rely on everything. Our cars got chips in it. Our phones got chips in it. Our computers got chips. Everything got chips, Van Cat. Everything. Remember what there was a couple of years ago when the PS5 came out.
Yep.
And it was the chip shortage. Everybody was pulling out their hair.
Yep.
Scalping PS5, $2,000.
Yep.
Because they couldn't make them fast enough because they didn't have the chips because of the chip shortage. I'm a truck driver. I remember back in 2022, there was a truck shortage because they couldn't get the chips to get put in the truck.
Yeah.
It was literally a truck shortage.
Mm-hmm.
Like as far as like new trucks. You couldn't get them. I remember that. If anything happened to Taiwan, the world is over with. It's gonna be the Walking Dead. Cause hell, we so relied upon like electronics at this point.
Exactly.
If something happened, it's over with.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna start cannibalizing each other. We ain't gonna know what to do. So that's the only bargaining chip that they have. Why in the hell would they move chips to the United States? Why? As soon as they do that, China's just gonna swoop in. They ain't even gonna fight. They gonna say, "Hey man, just give it up. It's over with. Just give it up."
You know what's crazy is we just had a period of time where companies were fighting tooth and nail against $20 minimum wage. You know, oh, that's disrupting our business. We're going to have to lay people off. That's the worst of the worst of the worst. It's causing chaos and it can't happen, can't do it. And you have Donald Trump just willy-nilly doing things to disrupt the stock market and the economy as a whole. And it's just amazing how crazy this is. From the flat out, oh, hell no, to $20 an hour from these corporations. And here we are just watching idly by as this big, dumb lunatic, 78-year-old mediocre white man doing all this impulsively stupid things to the economy. And, you know, nobody's batting an eye to this right now. If this was a Democrat president right now, he'll be getting impeached. He'll be getting impeached. He'll be getting all these things done to him right now.
The DOJ might investigate him and charge him with something.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way they would even be able to go on. He's talking about, oh, there'll be some pain, but then it won't last long. But initially there'll be a little pain. And then we're going to rebuild it to make it stronger. And that's the narrative he's putting. But who's willing to wait by and risk being homeless? Because I really don't think American people remember the 2008 financial collapse, which was just not that long ago. My God. And I know people don't have a great sense of history. That's for sure in this country. And you know, the Great Recession, the Great Depression, I should say, in the 1920s, like that right there should be the blueprint on where you don't want to be. But with stagflation being the thing that they're saying, looking like we're heading for, that's like worse, where it's just a stagnant economy and nothing can happen. And it'll just be a perpetual state of just hardship all throughout the economy. So I don't understand why we're entertaining these horrible options as far as economic wise. And why? Because a Republican is in office? That's what we do? Republicans overseen 9 of the last 10 recessions. And we thought that was the best choice for the economy. I mean,
Well,
people need a reality check on what the hell's going on. This ain't hard stuff, man. It's not hard to see.
I think it's different this time, though, Van Cat. I don't
What difference?
I don't necessarily put it as far as them looking out through a Republican perspective. It's way different this time. This time is sycophancy.
Mhm.
This time is putting all the weight on one person's shoulders because that's what he told you to do. It's a cult of personality. Even Reagan didn't have this type of cult of personality, and Reagan had a lot of cult of personality. He had a lot.
Yeah.
But this time it's different. And like I said, I ain't like I'm no historian in the literal sense with Reagan. Hell, I was a baby at that point. But I know the history of it. This time they're literally protecting bad policy.
Yeah.
And at the very least, Reagan showed some type of stability when it came to his policy, and he was able to articulate it. Trump can't do that. Like Reagan had trickle down economics sounding real good, like real good. Like I said, we know a lot of black boomers that came up in that time that thrived under Reagan. My grandparents and being one, you know, we saw it like with our own eyes. That ain't the case for Trump. Trump will tell you that it's a poison in your body and you just got to wait it. Well, hell, he literally did that with COVID. He said you stick a flashlight up your ass and take this ivermectin and everything will be fine. And people bought into that, Van Cat.
By the way, there are people. Just a guy just the other day told me that he didn't suggest that people ingest or inject bleach into their body. That was a live press conference that he was freestyling off the dome about a possible solution for COVID. And that was a suggestion. The lights
what
and
did he say? What did he say in the debate? The Biden debate? He said, "Oh, I was just being sarcastic or something."
Right. But
like,
you
no,
can't
you
have
can't.
it both ways. You can't be sarcastic, but then you can't be serious at the same time.
That's gaslighting, though. That's gaslighting. Yeah. Real quick, Van Cat. Let me ask. Shout out to Kelly Ray. I'm glad you came. You know, you always show up for me. She asked the question, "Why is this so horrible?"
Oh boy.
So we're supposed to be the ones waking up with a wet ass and no money. There's no robbery in fair exchange. So she's defending the tariff policies, surrounded with the parameters of it's fair trade.
Well, first of all, my ass ain't wet. My ass is dry, thoroughly dry. And it ain't wet at all. We just want to put that on the record right now. I don't know, man. It's a special kind of something to see how failing this administration is. Stock market is down like hell. Could you imagine Biden overseeing the economy right now with these kind of numbers? And this is the beginning. Again, he's only been in office like under 3 months. And it's already setting up by the end of the year to be a recession.
Yeah.
And
let me put this stat up real quick. Damn, what happened? Oh, there you go. You back now. Yeah, you gave me this stat earlier.
Yep.
You gave and again, you know, the proof is in the pudding, folks. Now if we look at all the times the Dow was down this low, the majority of the time was what? During COVID. That's just a fact.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give Trump the benefit of the doubt when it comes to that. But then, hey, like I said, I'm just trying to be fair. So even from that aspect, if we do give him the benefit of the doubt, how do you turn around and do something so like I said, man-made? This isn't an event that's taking place. It's nothing drastic that's facilitating these stock market drops.
So
Nothing.
So MD, see what you just said right there? That's why you don't give him the benefit of the doubt. Because if you try to say that his disastrous first term has to be excused with coronavirus,
Yeah.
then looking at the first few months of this one and how horribly bad it's going, that solidified the suckness, the horrendousness of his first term. So this is all legitimized right now. It's kind of great that Kamala Harris did not win, because a lot of truth is coming out right now. See, if she would have won, first of all, we wouldn't be in this situation at all. It might not have been the greatest, but we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here at all. It wouldn't even be remotely close. The stock market wouldn't be tanking. All this stuff would not have been happening. But we would have not known what that alternative would have been with Trump. So they would have continued that silly narrative that, you see, any little thing that would have happened in the economy or in the country, any little disaster, whatever the hell had happened, they would have been like, see, if Trump was here, he would have fixed it. He would have stopped this conflict in one day. It went from 30 days to 1 day. And all those things are being apparently false. He claimed that to want to end Ukraine's war in 1 day. I mean, where he's like almost 3 months in now, it's still going. He claims all these dramatic things, and it is clearly not happening. So this stat right here shows a pattern of what he does, a consistency, and it's called failing. This is a guy that has 6 bankruptcies. If anybody was to say and pick out niggas from a lineup and said, who's going to make this stat happen? And you say that guy over there got 6 bankruptcies, he would be the one universally picked to have the bottom 7 drops in the Dow in American history. It would be that guy that had 6 bankruptcies. That's all I'm saying.
Right. And so Kelly Ray says it's been bad though. What's new? It hasn't been this bad.
No. Biden numbers are in the green.
Biden had historic stock market rises, like historic. It hasn't happened. How do you go from that to COVID level
right
market drops? That's insane. I can understand a dip. I can get that. We understand that the stock market it'll go off of speculation, it'll drop, and it'll regulate itself. Even in this situation, I give you, even in this situation, the market will regulate itself. And I don't know how long it's going to take, but it will regulate itself. That's just a fact. We all know this.
Trump cannot continue. People can't continue to put that force field around Trump saying, "Oh, COVID, I can't really count that." This is proven that yes, you can. There's a consistent pattern here, and that's what he is. You can't do it. And even if you take off his numbers, I already broke it down on TFP. Biden left office, almost 17 million jobs created. Donald Trump, if you just count the 3 years, 2017, 18, and 19, he only made 6 million jobs. Biden did that in his first year alone. You cannot go naked. It's a bad look.
Well, you know what they're gonna say though, Venkat. They gonna say, you know what they're gonna say though, Venkat. They're gonna say that's a bounce back after COVID. That's the game plan. That's what they're gonna use.
Yeah, the bouncing being that how Biden handled COVID with the rollout of the vaccine and all the other bills that he passed through Congress and the Senate, because Trump never did that. The only thing he ever passed was tax cuts, which he didn't pass it. The Republicans passed it, right?
Right.
So if you don't pass legislation through the Congress and the Senate, then you ain't done nothing. And he didn't do anything. So
he ain't passing nothing now. He doing all EOs. He ain't passing nothing.
That's what I'm saying. So you can't protect this guy saying, "Whoa, it's COVID." No, the history is all there, and that's why that night I thought about it. I'm like, okay, they're celebrating this guy winning, but there's a difference between winning an election and actual governing. And what we are seeing live in real time right now is what happens when a Republican, and worse, when Trump is trying to govern, because he doesn't understand how to govern. He doesn't know how to talk and negotiate with lawmakers. He doesn't understand what the bills mean. He doesn't know none of that stuff. He only wants to be president for the spotlight and the attention. It is abundantly clear. Anybody not seeing that don't want to see that, or is just a dumbass. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Now, come on, where these niggas getting it out in the mud at now? Because I really need them niggas to come to the front of the congregation. Where are you niggas at right now? Because there was a lot of jaw-jacking about Trump this, Trump that, and all this other stuff, anti-black woman and all this stuff. And now we are here right now in this time. And actually, we're going to look back at this night, this time that we're in right now, and say, damn, those were the good days. Because it's going to get worse. So I want to know where them niggas that's getting it out the mud at. Because they were right up front and center, bowing to the white man, bending that knee and licking ass.
Damn,
Sold
all right.
out themselves.
All right, Yanga.
Go ahead, MD.
Oh, you good. So here's another stat from Market Watch. Stock market today, Dow closes 1,700 points lower. S&P 500 and NASDAQ log worst day since, again, 2020 as
Wow.
Trump tariffs royal markets. Apple, Nvidia, and Nike slump. Dollar and gold dive. So not only did the markets take a free fall terminal velocity,
The U.S.
now
dollar is worth
the
less.
the U.S. dollar domestically
Diminished.
is worth that, and that's when I come in, because now I got a problem. Because again, I've defended the dollar with people saying, "Oh, we need to go back to the gold." Hell, the gold even took a dive today. So hell, you can't even use that no more. Oh, we need to go back to gold. The monster, the Federal Reserve, we need to get rid of Federal. And I always defended it, said no, the dollar is okay. We're a monetary sovereign country with nothing to worry about. But this was so bad that the dollar itself took a dive. That's bad.
Yep.
Real
Now,
bad.
has this happened with Biden in office? Has the dollar, has gold, has all this slumping in the markets happened with Biden? Don't remember it. And everybody acted like that was the worst thing that hit America. That theatrical performance that these mother lovers did during this past election, playing that game, they need an Academy Award and an Emmy and every goddamn other award to pretend that the life that they were living a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago is somehow worse than what we are experiencing when this bitch ass nigga came in the office in less than 3 months and turned it upside down. You have to go out of your way to be this bad.
Yeah. Peace, Ricardo. Hey, the link is if you need the link back, I put it up in the chat. Come up, man, because I want to ask you about what Mark Carney said today and what you think about the Canada exemption. So hey, you're absolutely right, Venkat. It ain't nothing else. Ain't nothing else I can say. Again, we understand that the dollar has a place in the world market. We understand that the dollar as a reserve currency is the gold standard, no pun intended. But when that takes a dive, then other countries gonna have to say, hey, look, maybe we need to look into like placing our reserves in a different currency. And that's when we really gonna be jacked up. But again, this is prime opportunity for the European Union and the Euro. Hell, China. Again, like I said, China is sitting back laughing. They done popped the button out of their pants. They've been laughing so hard. They laughing.
Yeah.
Because all of this stuff is predicated around world influence. And right now, our world influence is tanking harder than the stock just did.
Oh my God.
That's just a fact.
Oh my God. Oh man, I coined the phrase a couple weeks ago. I got my hat coming in the mail. Feeling great yet? That hat is coming because I want to know if these bastards feeling great yet. This is what you signed up for. But the thing is, there's another thing I used to always say. You can be stupid, just don't be stupid on my time. And
Right.
this is ridiculous, man. How a lot of people are going to pay huge price. They don't even see it. They think that politics is inconsequential. They think this is a game. My team. I'm voting for my team. I'm cheering for my team. The extraordinarily ignorant that don't pay any attention to what the hell's going on, and we have these disastrous turns in our life. It's crazy, like where we could be versus where we are. I mean, 2000 was a hell of a year. That was a hell of a time, and we went a different route. And that Republican president, gave us 9/11, Katrina, and then stepped out the door with a financial collapse. I mean, God damn, there's a hell of a different place we could have been. It's just crazy. We had a black guy come in office giving us health care, and they act like he was trying to kill their babies. It's ridiculous. Like, the thing is like, you say what you want about the Democratic Party, all you want. But what they are fighting for, when they get their way, you get good out of it. When you get your way, we get this. 1,700 points down. We're going to have, we already got people losing jobs with Elon and all. That's one aspect. But the other aspect is actual companies sitting down, having meetings and saying, worrying about the herky-jerky nature of the economy, and you never know what you're going to get one day versus the other. And all this uncertainty, it forces them to lay people off and whatnot. That's real. There are going to be people that are in a house right now that probably 3 months from now ain't going to be in a house. Any one of us could be affected by this. And it's all fun and games until it gets real on your doorstep. And I'm just saying, if you're going to be involved in politics, just do the bare minimum and find out who your representatives are, who the frig you're cheering for, because I don't want to hear another person talk about, I didn't know he was going to do this, when he has billboards saying he's going to do what he did. Right. It's just crazy. Go ahead, MD.
You're right, but there may be a sliver, and I'll bring this up and we'll move on. There may be a sliver of hope for the Republicans. I'll just say that I was shocked. Let me see if I can bring this up here. I'll say that I was shocked that it happened yesterday. So, and again, it's not going to go nowhere because the House is not going to vote on it. But symbolically, it meant something. At least to say that it's almost like Get Out. There's a little piece of the Republicans still left in MAGA, I believe. So 4 GOP senators, huh?
The only thing I don't know if they'll get primaried and then they'll be out, or and that's the other thing too. In Florida, they had those 2 elections that happened. The Republicans still won, but they won by less. But I don't care. Like, things are so bad, they should have just outright lost. So the fact that there are Republicans still holding on for some reason is ridiculous. Every time a politician does something wrong, you gotta put them on notice, whether they're in your party or not. So you could be for Trump, but Trump ain't doing everything right. So when he ain't doing something right, you need to slap him with the newspaper. And that was your opportunity to slap him with the newspaper. So the fact that these people are complaining while simultaneously still voting Republican, that's a problem for me. I don't care how low or close it came. It should have been an outright loss. That's how you really make a statement. So I was looking for the actual loss, and it didn't happen. Florida's completely ignorant.
We're talking about a ruby red district. We talking about.
I don't care. I don't care. Okay.
We talk about MAGA. We talking about MAGA maniacs, Van Cat. MAGA maniacs don't have no sense of remorse for the stuff that they do. They don't.
But some of them, they come along. Some of them come along. So I mean,
some of them came along in that race Tuesday.
yeah.
So you got to give them credit for that. So I would say that we're talking about districts that Trump won with over 30% of the 30 plus 30%. They cut it in half essentially. So now that gives you a marker to where people feel for the midterms. So I would say if I was the head of the DNC, based off that outlier, 15%, any red districts in the country that's 15 cent, not 15, they were 15 cent, but 15% or lower, go after them. That's what I would say. So if you got a district that a Republican won by anywhere between 10 and 15%, it's fair game now. Because you're using the Florida races as an outlier. And that's a lot of seats. I'm predicting that it's going to be a blue wave in 26 anyway. That's just me.
I don't know, MD. I don't know.
All right.
I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. Cautiously.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you could tread lightly, but it's so fucked up, Vegas. It's bad. It's real bad. And to your point, a lot of these MAGA maniacs see it now, like with their own eyes. It's no more trying to capitulate and use the same Trump talking points in the campaign. Can't do that no more because we see what's going on now.
It's just crazy. This guy's been running for 10 years, man. I mean, how do you not know like what you're dealing with at this point? It's amazing to me.
When you're a MAGA maniac, man, your judgment is clouded.
But these are people that own cars, houses, and have a checking account. And like they don't see what the hell is going on here. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, they have a house, a car, and a checking account, but when you blinded by stuff like racism, xenophobia, homophobia, when you blinded by stuff like that, a lot of the stuff that's in your life really don't matter. Hell, we see it every day. You know what I'm saying? shit that don't even really got anything to do with you takes precedent over your actual everyday life. We see it with MAGA maniacs every day. Yeah. That's just a fact. So, again, four senators, I think it was Rand Paul. Let me look at the list and then we'll move on.
Rand Paul, he's a libertarian, so I could expect that from him.
Rand Paul be on some bullshit. He been on some bullshit with the MAGA stuff too. Let's just keep it a buck.
Yeah. But
Rand Paul is not his father. He is not Ron Paul, like in the slightest. So it was Rand Paul, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Mitch McConnell voted to take away the Canada tariffs. Again, like I said, this still late. Well, hell, he always late.
He came around a little late on that. He had his chance. He could have impeached the bastard. He could have rallied a bunch of people around impeachment.
Right. So this gives us further reasoning behind why Canada didn't get an extra tariff.
Right.
I think Trump looked at it like, hey, like maybe, let's hold off, let's back off. But again, this still got to go to the House, and it's not going to pass in the House because that's where the MAGA maniacs at. Like the Senate, it's MAGA maniac town too, but not like the House. The House is crazy. Those are fools over there in the House.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right. So there's that. All right, so we'll get into this, and this will be the last thing. So I guess symbolically, my lame duck is the UAW president, Shawn Fain. Now I'm gonna play two videos. The first video was during the 2024 campaign, and I get your thoughts on that. Then we'll play the second video, and you got some explaining to do, Venkat. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So let's play the first video and see what the optics were with Shawn Fain during the 2024 campaign.
Donald Trump is a scab. Donald Trump is a billionaire, and that's who he represents. If Donald Trump ever worked in an auto plant, he wouldn't be a UAW member. He'd be a company man trying to squeeze the American worker. Donald Trump stands against everything we stand for as a union, as a society. When you go back to our core issues, wages, retirement, health care, and our time, that's what this election's about. This election's about who will stand up with us and who will stand in our way. Those are the questions that will win or lose this election and will decide our fate. Those are the questions that will determine the future of our country and the fate of the working class.
Okay, so that was Shawn Fain during the 2024 election.
Yep.
He endorsed Kamala Harris.
Yep.
Some of the stuff that he said in that particular speech, I agree with.
Yep.
And I'm not even a union guy. I'm anti-union. But he talked about certain core visions when it came to policy as it pertains to not only the union, but us as people who work in America. I agree 100%.
Yep.
So now, going back into the future, here's Shawn Fain yesterday, and as we know, during Trump's speech on Liberation Day, he had a slew of UAW workers in the crowd that were cheering and magging it up. So here's Shawn Fain yesterday on I believe it was yesterday on Face the Nation, speaking on Liberation Day. Let's hear Shawn Fain now.
There's been no change in where we stand politically as a union and where, what our stance is. Look, we've been very clear since day one of my administration. We have expectations. Endorsements are earned, but at the end of the day, like we're not partisan to any one party here. We expect, no matter what party someone comes from, to stand up for what we believe in. So just because we find common ground on tariffs or on trade doesn't mean that everything else goes out the window. It's despicable what happened last night. It's despicable some of the other things that are going on. Like I said, some of our members have been detained. Their jobs are being threatened, and it's unacceptable. So no, there is no trade-off here. Mm-hmm. We continue to do what we do. We have integrity. When we can work with a politician on an issue, and we get traction, we're going to work with them. But where we can't, we're going to be just as vocal.
Understood. Let's get back to the tariffs and the auto industry. Peter Navarro, a top advisor to the president on trade, says currently automobile manufacturing plants are at about 60% capacity. He argues that there's lots of untapped capacity, meaning jobs could be created relatively easy, and you wouldn't need to spend 2 or 3 or maybe 5 years building new factories. Is that your understanding? Is that your belief?
It's spot on. Look, we have a situation right now in Warren, Michigan, where 2,000 workers were laid off this past year. They built the Ram truck there for years under Stellantis. And Stellantis made a decision to shift that production to Mexico. They could shift that work back in very short order and be producing Ram trucks right back there and put those people back to work. I was just at Volkswagen this week, talking with workers down there that are trying to get their first contract. And the company announced a reduction of a shift. Meanwhile, Volkswagen is the biggest violator of all. 75% of their production for the North American market is made in Mexico. So they can shift product there overnight. There's excess capacity. You know, people forget this lesson in World War II. The way that we formed the arsenal of democracy that won the war was they took the excess capacity of all the automotive manufacturing plants in the country and produced tanks and planes and bombs and engines and all those things. And it's no different right now. We have excess capacity. They could bring work back in very short order. And yes, they're in a situation where they need to build a new plant. Yeah, that's going to take a couple years. But there is plenty of opportunity for these companies to do the right thing and bring work back here overnight, just as quick as they shipped it out of here.
And Sean, for people who are listening to you, how do tariffs make that happen? What is the relationship between a 20 or 25% tariff and getting that capacity back up to where you'd like to see it?
Well, because like everything, the companies abuse the process. I mean, they're in the pursuit of driving a race to the bottom. I mean, the tariffs are, there was a major promise when NAFTA, we go back to when NAFTA happened in 1992, the big debate, and Ross Perot talked about the giant sucking sound that our manufacturing base was going to disappear. He was spot on. And we saw what happened in the ensuing 30 years. We've seen 90,000 plants leave. Like I said, we've seen 65 plants in the big three close. Look, right now, as we speak, in Wisconsin, we have a Deere plant threatening to be closed, and their work being threatened to go to Mexico. We have a heavy truck plant at Freightliner, Volvo, and Mack Truck in Pennsylvania being threatened to be taken to Mexico. There is plenty of opportunity, and that's the reality that we've seen here in America. So tariffs are a tool in the toolbox. They're not the end-all solution. We have to fix the broken trade system. But the way tariffs work, I mean, it's a motivator because there's going to be a penalty for everything the companies ship in here. And I've had companies tell us point blank that they're going to have to bring product back here if those tariffs are implemented.
You mentioned...
Red alert. All hands stand to battle stations.
Warning. Warning. Nigger babble detected. System overload. Warning. Warning. Nigger babble detected. System overload.
He started babbling in the second video, Van Cat. He was babbling.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know it, and I know it.
That is crazy to see him propping up the tariff notion here, because I don't know how he could be so misguided. I understand he's very protective of the union and the workers in America, and the tariffs are like a protectionism thing that they do historically, but I don't see how with tariffs, prices of parts and overall cars going up, how is that going to help the auto worker union if these prices go up? People are losing their jobs to begin with. So your market for people that are going to shop cars have dramatically dropped just off the job loss alone. And then the higher price to accompany the job loss for those that are still working, they're not going to be able to afford those increases. So like that means the need for cars are going to go down. And when the need for cars go down, the need to make and manufacture cars go down. The need to have workers build those cars goes down. So how the hell does that help you at all? That makes no sense to me. Like, there's a better way to get to it. Yeah, it's just a better way to get there.
Just today, Reuters reporting Stellantis temporarily laying off 900 U.S. workers at Terabyte at auto plant. Just today. You
That's
just hit
crazy.
the nail on the head, man.
That is crazy.
Sean Fain is an idiot. He's an idiot, is what I'm telling you.
100%.
No way possible does this help the auto industry. In no way, shape, or form does this help the auto industry. Because now prices on cars are about to shoot sky high. Shout out to Trevor. I know he said he in the market for a truck. Good luck with that. Is all I can tell you. Maybe you missed the money bags. I don't know. But you might want to look into a low mileage used truck. At least for now. Ride that for a couple years, then Maybe it get better within time. I like trucks, but I'm practical. I drive a 2018 Chrysler Pacifica. I'm a practical person. I drive a van.
Right.
I got a couple other cars, but when I go home, because everybody want to get their ass and drive wherever I'm going, I got to use the van. It is what it is. I got 3 boys at home. They all got to get in. I got to go to the grocery store, errands, this, that, and the fourth. I drive a van. It's fine with me. I just had to put a radiator in it not too long ago. Until it blow up like Grand Theft Auto, I'm going to keep driving it. That's just what it is.
Yeah, Trevor was saying, his company is booming right now, and they're getting all these sales. But I think those sales are coming from companies trying to get ahead of the tariffs.
Exactly.
And that's why he's got this temporary boom. But then after this stuff settles in, you got to figure it's going to stop and halt all over the place. So I don't know.
Well, it depending on how the supply chains go, it'll continue. It'll just be at an exorbitant cost.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm glad you said that.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, again, I'm a truck driver. I haul various stuff. I'm on a contract with a tractor company right now. All last year, I was on a contract with an aluminum company. They went to another company. Long story. But right now, I'm back on aluminum because they trying to push this shit out like as fast as possible. So they say, hey, look, we need you to come back and help us out. It's gonna cost you, but I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? So now I've been ripping and running, trying to push out a lot of this aluminum product. So you absolutely right, Venkat. They trying to get this shit out to all these customers as fast as possible, because when the rubber hit the road, when these tariffs drop, like the reciprocal end on what they making, not the actual aluminum itself, because it's already tariffed, but the actual stuff that's being manufactured overseas and in Mexico and Canada, they trying to hurry up and get it manufactured so they can get it back in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, you absolutely right. And the same goes for what Trevor do. The same goes. But again, like I said, when you're dealing with a lot of these engine parts, they go back and forth. They've been talking about this on the news. The shit it'll go to one country, it'll go to Canada, come back to America, go to Mexico, come back. It's gonna get tariff out the ass.
Mm-hmm.
Upwards of $10,000 extra per car, they saying. Upwards, $10,000. That's crazy. Who the hell gonna be able to afford a new car? Who?
I don't know, and I need one.
You know
I
what
need
I mean?
one bad.
So hey man, you might have to go to Drive Time or CarMax or something. Cause man, I'm telling you, I ain't buying no new car no time soon. Damn that. So that's what we dealing with, folks. That's what we dealing with. Again, Sean Fain is an idiot.
Yes.
He said that was Face the Nation. So I think that was Sunday. That was pre-Liberation Day.
Mm.
So he said all of that just for Trump to make the announcement, and the day after he make the announcement, Stellantis lay off 900 people.
Mm.
You just think that's just by coincidence? It's not.
More to come. There's more to come.
A lot more to come.
It don't stop there.
A lot more to come. I'm telling you, these people do not understand any. It's all culture war bullshit at the end of the day.
Yes.
These people don't know anything about policy. MAGA maniacs, they don't.
Mm-mm.
Because if they did, they would think more clearly about the decisions that they make from a political standpoint. They don't. All they care about is not having your black ass around, not having any Venezuelans or Mexicans or South. That's the stuff that they care about. Inflation, we know what was predicated around inflation. We know it. Venkat just explained it during the COVID era. Now, part of that was because Biden just refused to tell the story.
Yep.
So that was able to be a false manufactured angle around what Biden was doing versus what Trump was saying.
Yep.
And what Trump was saying won the battle, even though it was wrong as hell. But no one cared because no one, we talking about low information people at the end of the day.
Yep.
Low information. They don't give a damn because you're not making them give a damn. You got to give them a reason to give a damn. And Biden didn't do that. That's why he was the super duck.
Yep.
Because he chose not to do it.
First unanimous super duck.
He chose not to do it. And until it was too late.
Yep. Way too late.
So now you're stuck in your decision. And you're seeing the fruits that it bear. And it's not a good fruit. It's sour as hell.
Yep, he just threw it off on Kamala Harris. Hey, you got 3 months. Go ahead. You got
That's
3
crazy.
months. Make something happen.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So I'm gonna play one more video. This a more lengthier video. Then we're gonna get out of here. This I got this specifically for Trevor because he said he was looking into a truck. So let me make sure let me stop sharing screen first. Hold on. Man, on the sidebar, StreamYard got this weird setup now where it's got like shit on the side of the screen and
yeah, it changed up.
You can make I'm like, damn. So I'm getting confused on a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see.
Yeah, it's
here.
kind of jarring at first, yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna share the screen. I'm gonna play this video and then we're gonna get up out of here. Stop screen. Share screen. And this is specifically talking about the auto tariffs. Now, a disclaimer, this was pre-Liberation Day. Now we got more clarification on what's going on. So after the video, I'll do some fact checking and then we'll get some thoughts. So all right, let's play this.
President Trump's auto tariffs are here, and that means
a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff.
But no car, not even a US-built Ford F-150, is 100% US made. Just look inside.
It's made up of thousands and thousands of parts. Those parts come from over 24 different countries.
Countries like Mexico, Canada, Romania. Trump wants these parts to say made in the US. But moving all of this is not so simple.
To lift and shift that whole thing, that's kind of like saying, pick up the state of Maine and move it over to Wyoming. Could you do it? I suppose you could, but man, it would be tough duty.
So let's break it down to understand what Trump is trying to do with a slew of new tariffs and why automakers are warning it could backfire. This chart shows where cars sold in the US are coming from. All of these cars now face that 25% auto tariff. But this 53% of US-made cars is also affected by that tariff because of all of those foreign parts.
Some of the major components, this is for the Ford F-150. They have an alternator, create current. It's from Mexico. We have half shafts. These deliver torque to the wheels from the driveline. They're from Canada. We have tires, of course, 5 of them. These come from Korea. Of course, you have to have wheels. In this case, a styled tractive wheels. These all come from Mexico.
Those tires from South Korea would face that auto tariff and any reciprocal or universal tariff placed on the country. Those parts from Canada and Mexico, well, that's where it gets more complicated. Eventually, they would face that auto tariff, any reciprocal or universal tariff, and an additional Mexico-Canada tariff. But the White House said parts compliant with the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Trade Agreement, or USMCA, remain tariff-free until there is a process to apply tariffs to their non-U.S. content. And for some parts, like a transmission, there will be a lot of content to consider.
When you realize what goes into an automatic transmission, that's what this is. And so you can see this plethora of parts, gears and seals, springs, fasteners, valves, and shafts, all these different parts. They can come from different suppliers, and those suppliers can be located pretty much anywhere in the world.
Take a look at this map showing how Canadian manufacturer Linamar creates transmissions for the US market today. It takes 7 border crossings before that part is in a car being sold in the US. These 3 crossings into the US would eventually face Trump's tariffs. And even if the manufacturing of all of this was moved into the US, this part, the raw steel, would still be subject to Trump's 25% tariff on imported steel and aluminum.
This is going to be disruptive on day one. It's going to increase the cost of doing business.
The total amount depends on the vehicle. A Cox Automotive estimate shows a car made in the US would incur $3,000 in costs from the Canada-Mexico tariffs, plus another $3,000 from the tariffs on foreign-made auto parts. Then research shows an added $400 for the steel and aluminum tariffs, and more for any reciprocal or universal tariffs.
Have you heard any concerns from the automakers, though, about the tariffs on parts that will go into effect over the coming weeks, about what that's going to mean for the price of
Well, I gave them a
American-made
big
cars?
break for a month. I didn't charge them anything, for a big month, for that first month. And they brought a lot of material into this country because they could bring it in without tariff.
But eventually, added production costs could change what cars buyers see on dealer lots.
You could see a stop in production of a number of vehicles, some of which are very important to some of the automakers.
Trump's goal, however, is to pressure automakers to make them in the US instead.
This is going to lead to the construction of a lot of plants.
And the White House said the duties on Canada and Mexico are also meant to disrupt the drug trade.
We've lost millions of people due to fentanyl. It comes mostly from China, but it comes through Mexico and it comes through Canada.
The trade group representing Ford, GM, and Stellantis said it's critical that tariffs are done in a way that preserves the competitiveness of the North American auto sector. North American is the key there. Because of the Trump-negotiated USMCA and NAFTA before it, automakers have essentially viewed these countries as borderless.
We have really built the industry around that free trade zone that's existed for so long.
It's why Mexico and Canada exported about $75 billion in passenger cars and more than $100 billion in auto parts to the US last year. So shrinking supply chains to just the US?
If you had to move production of a vehicle or even a complex system like an engine, a transmission, an axle, and you're making that in Canada or you're making that in Mexico and you just want to move the plant, that could be years.
Analysts say even shifting a foreign-made part to a U.S. supplier can take months.
We have well-established, very detailed testing plans for every component on a vehicle, and we don't get to skip those just because we might want to or it might be easy, right? Because it's a safety and quality issue. It costs money and it costs lives when we get those things wrong.
So either choice, moving production or facing the tariffs, come with added costs, some of which economists say will be passed on to consumers. That will push up already elevated car prices. This could then tamp down demand and slow production.
If there's less production, there'll be less demand for workers in the North American auto industry. Even before you get the cut in profitability, there'll probably be a push for more labor-saving investment in U.S. production to try to compensate for the increased costs elsewhere in the production process.
That labor-saving investment, analysts say, will come in the form of automation.
When you move production to the U.S., you do it, because you need to be close, but it doesn't necessarily bring a lot of jobs with it. It brings a lot of automation.
But the United Auto Workers Union applauded Trump's tariff on foreign autos, adding it's now on the automakers to bring back good union jobs to the U.S. To make investments months or years into the future, automakers need
certainty and stability. They want it to be clear what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and why it's going to happen.
But automakers are still waiting for clarity on the extent and application of the various tariffs, especially after the pause and then temporary exemption from the Mexico-Canada tariffs.
The uncertainty of whether and how long these tariffs will stick around is creating real dollars waste in terms of warehousing and trucking, and call it soft waste, wasted time, wasted energy, wasted attention that could be better deployed building and designing the next vehicle, the next system.
That time spent debating if this alternator should continue to come from Mexico or this crossbeam from Canada is to some a distraction from the larger disruptors in the industry, namely the fast-moving Chinese competition. China is now the world's largest vehicle exporter.
Very tumultuous time in the industry, for sure. Things are changing faster than they ever did before. And at the end of the day, you have to remember, it's not the big that eat the small, it's the fast that eat the slow. And so whatever you are, don't be the slowest. Move quickly.
Sell something. As a member of Congress.
All right, folks. So yeah, I wanted to play that video because it's important. It's important to understand what's going on. It's definitely important to understand what's going on. Oh, he went back. Okay, I got Trev back. So yeah, Trev, I sent you that video a couple days ago, I believe. What you think about that?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
First of all, I think this is my first time on the Thought Box, so shout out to the Thought Box. I just want to say this. First of all, I'm not buying no new truck. I mean, that's ridiculous. Secondly, I think you guys, I mean, you do it on TFPs and now you bring it over to the Thought Box. At least you're being consistent. You guys don't ever look at how the problem started. It's easy now to be like, oh, all these layoffs are occurring because of the tariffs, while not looking at the fact that in 2020, when the government was giving people money, they were spending frivolously, and the automakers were charging $20,000 in some case over sticker price for most of these vehicles. Now here we are in 2025. You can't move these vehicles that's on the lots. And then the people that are buying these vehicles are stuck in damn near 30% interest rates. I didn't even know that was possible for 84 months. I didn't even know that was a thing. America has a spending problem. So now, you know, the shit about to hit the fan with the tariffs now, but you guys never bring up what initially started all of this. And it's the fact that these car dealerships, which are wicked people, were able to raise these car prices so much. Yes, you can't get a new truck right now. Trust me, I've been looking. You cannot get a new truck right now for under 70K, like base model. And then once you finance that, if you don't have a tremendous amount of money to put on it, it may run you into the $100,000. I mean, you know, that's crazy for a truck. You know, I'm a Ford guy. I've been looking at F-150s. I own the F-150. I own the Ranger. Very good trucks. But now, as far as what we do, you know, we make parts. It's funny, as you was playing the video, I saw a couple of parts that we actually make. So that was really funny. We provide parts to Ford. We provide parts to GM. And a couple other automotive industries. And right now, yeah, the business is booming. I don't know, you know, we were stuck in a 3-hour meeting today for all the new orders that we have. It could be everybody's stocking up, getting ready for stuff. Who knows? Me personally, just gonna ride the wave and make all the money that I possibly can. I'm not gonna sit here and be Mr. Doomsday Prophet, because I don't live life like that. You know, shit happens. You know, it comes with being human. But I just think that if you're gonna be, I know y'all don't like Trump. That's fine. I know that's what we do. That's what we do. But if you're gonna be honest, you got to go back to the initial where it all started, and that was the government giving out money back in 2020, and people in this country don't know how to handle their finances, spending money frivolously. And MD, you would know better than anybody. And I'll land right here. If a quarterback sets the market in the NFL, you now can't say, oh, I'm only going to give a guy 30 million when you've set the market to 50 million for a quarterback. You can't do it anymore. And that's what's happening with these car manufacturers. That's why people getting laid off. They're getting laid off because nobody's buying the cars. If you got nothing but inventory on your lot, you can't make new vehicles. There are like literally since I stopped doing the whole YouTube thing so much as I was, all I watch now is like these channels that talk about like the car markets and stuff like that. And these cars, most of these dealerships are filing insurance claims because they can't sell their inventory. They got cars been sitting on the lots for a year. That's crazy. That's insane. That's because the price gouging. That has nothing to do with the tariffs right now. It's going to get worse once the tariffs hit. But you can't excuse what happened the previous 4 years. You just can't do it. And I'm done.
Hey, MD, real quick, I just want to address that. I don't agree with what he said just now. I think he's completely off.
Of course you don't.
I was going straight to you, Van Cat. Trust me, I was going straight to you.
Well, first of all, I don't like the whole thing about, the government gave people money. And again, you got to put yourself back in the time. The money that was given by the government was money that was to pay rent, to pay food, and all that. It wasn't like it was like this overabundance. The people that were unemployed, the initial 3 months, it was $600 on top of the like in the state of Florida. Every state is different. State of Florida, I think you got $150 a week. That's what you were living off.
Let me stop you right there, Van Cat, because I was kind of confused too. So Trevor, are you talking about the PPP money, or are you talking about the stimulus money?
I'm talking about stimulus. I'm talking about the fraudulent PPPs. I'm talking about all that.
The stimulus money, you can't.
The stimulus money barely even pay 1 month's rent.
Yeah. I can understand the PPP
propaganda.
I don't know what y'all got, but I mean, I know what we got from the stimulus. So I mean,
everybody got the same thing.
Exactly.
The first one was 14. Then there was a 1,200. There was a 600. That was what they got, and they were separated by many months to a year. So it wasn't like it was like a weekly thing or a daily thing or a monthly thing. The stimulus didn't do nothing. You got the stimulus, you could have a really nice weekend going out to burger places or whatnot, but that's about it. Or you could pay part of your rent or part of your rent you owe. That's about it. You're not going to go far with that. Anybody moving with any money that was from the government, that had to have been from the PPP loans. And a lot of those people, including the LA Lakers, who fraudulently exploited the program, were called out for it and paid the price for it. So I don't know like how Americans were being frivolous with money. And as a matter of fact, currently as we speak right now, United States citizens are knee deep in credit card debt, the highest it's ever been.
Whose fault is that?
Billions of dollars.
Whose fault is that?
You know what's going on those credit cards? What's going on those credit cards is groceries. Because a lot of people couldn't afford just groceries. So, I mean, you guys look at things in a weird way.
So let me ask you this question.
Ignoring the
the car dealerships didn't add on over 20K over sticker price. That's what you're trying to tell me? That didn't happen?
Well, let me say this.
No. Answer the question. That didn't happen?
Well, it did happen, but it happened before COVID. In the actual video, they showed the graph where they showed between.
Didn't I say it happened before now?
well, you put an emphasis on PPP loan. I'm just going off what you said.
You said the last 4 years, and you said COVID.
Nothing changes at all. I see. It don't matter. We could be on the society or we could be on the thought box. Nothing gonna change.
Trevor, I'm not disagreeing with you, bro. All I'm saying is, based on the graph that was showed in the video, they said between 2017 and 2019, there was over a 30% increase in the sticker price cost. So I'm agreeing with you. I'm just putting the point of emphasis on it happened before COVID.
It
That's
happened
all I'm
before
saying.
COVID, and your whole thing was it was COVID. You said the last 4 years, and that it happened in 2020 and during COVID. That's what you were saying. So MD's just responding to that. But the other thing is, I don't even care nothing about none of that. I don't even, that those things don't even matter. I'm just saying, well, if a company, a corporation, or an industry is misbehaving, especially one that owe me money. Because last time I checked, the government bailed out a lot of those car companies. A lot of those car companies were bailed out by the government. So for them to turn around and try to do that, just like I had said earlier in the show, I would go after companies that are exploiting bad situations. The government should have gone after them at that particular point. But that wasn't even the point. I'm just saying Americans had it bad, especially during COVID time. As far as putting, and there we go again with an attempt to shame and blame. You look at credit card spending, and
miss me with that social justice warrior bullcrap.
It's not bullcrap.
That's the problem. Why people are the way they are is because people like you don't call them out for their bullshit and their frivolous spending. That's the problem. Because you always got somebody like you that'll be like, oh, no, don't worry about it. You could go spend more than you make, and then it'll be okay, because we could always just blame the government and say that they put us in that situation. That's what you do. I don't do that.
All right, Trevor, real simple. You're a person, you got your family, whatever. You're working for a company. You're not making as much as you need. You know, an economy crashes around you. You had nothing to do with it. You were an individual doing your life. You probably don't even pay attention to politics. All you know is dollars and cents. The dollars that you're bringing in are less than what you need for going out. And you have a credit card. You have no money to feed your family or feed yourself, and you have a credit card. You're not going to use that credit card to get some items at the grocery store. And you don't see how that can happen and go overboard, and it gets to a point where it gets over to your means. Everybody don't make the exact amount. So when the economy goes in a bad direction, they were already at neck deep with stuff. So now if it gets bad, they're really, really bad. So you don't see how a person in those situations are going to spend up a credit card to just get by the week, and maybe they're thinking, you know, at a certain point they're going to get over and pay it back.
Give me percentages. What's the percentages? Give me the percentages. Pull numbers. Pull numbers.
What number?
Pull number. Give me a percentage. How many people are in that situation? Just give me a number. Google it right now.
What are you talking about? Are you trying to say that there are people that don't use their credit card?
I'm about to start holding you to the fire. You're not going to be able to just pull stuff out of the air. Give me the numbers. Give me the numbers. You're sitting here. If you want to play social justice warrior, pull the numbers. Show me the numbers.
Right.
You know what? Nor better yet, debate me on it. You won't do that, because then you'll have to pull real numbers. You can't just talk out of the air.
Oh Lordy. I just made up that Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
You could be talking about 10%. You could be talking about 20%. You're not giving me no numbers, though. Give me the numbers.
You can believe it.
Give me the numbers.
Okay.
Come on, numbers. Pull me some numbers.
Right.
Because you want to defend people that recklessly spend money when there's a decision to be made. You know what? Let's not go out. Let's sit here and let's live in our means. You know why? Because I had to do it a bunch of times. Let's live within our means. You may have to go without this week, but let's live within our means. That's the problem again. You're not holding those people to the fire. You're not. Oh God, am I waking up? All right, all right. Yeah, I got.
According to Econofact,
I'm talking too loud.
According to Econofact, more than 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
Where did that come from?
Econofact. So I mean,
I don't know why we even need like, how do you not know? Like, you can't be that unaware that there are people in this country. Like, you think that people are living under a bridge? You think that people are homeless? You think that people are going through these financial struggles because they were out partying and being reckless? You don't think that there's certain things in life that put them there? You think they grew up aspiring to be that? There's people that they're in hard situations, and a lot of those hard situations originated from bad ideas, bad policies, and bad actions from people above them, people on top.
Not as
But
much as
it's
you
funny
think.
how we get really into how we need to put a reality check on those people, but the rich and uber powerful get no damn backlash, get nothing. You're expecting the lesser fortunate to be the grown up in the room. All I'm saying, it is not hard to fathom that you're going to have a person that has not much money, and if they have a credit card, you're damn right they're going to spend money on the things that they need. And to think that COVID and a lot of business people that didn't want to pay people the correct wage that they needed to have to be paid to get the work that they were so seeking during COVID, when they couldn't find applicants or anybody to want to work for them, they said people didn't want to work, rather than saying people didn't want to work for the low wage you were paying. And it's all this onus being dumped on the average American worker. And there's no accountability for the owners, for the rich, for the corporations at all. Not one drop of it. And their actions is what created the environment of the struggle to begin with. This is ignorance at its finest. Go ahead, MD.
No. Oh, okay, he back. Okay, he had dropped off. He back on. Yeah, I can see both points. That there is a common knowledge that people are reckless with spending. I'm not going to attest that to the situation as it pertains to right now. Also, I think it's ill-advised to, I guess you would say, tie into price gouging of certain products as it pertains to reckless spending. At the end of the day, if we're going to use the example of like the PPP loans were put there for a specific purpose. Now, did people take advantage of it? Hell yeah. But at the end of the day, we're talking about coming out of essentially a recession from COVID. That money was to be used, not necessarily, I don't want to say to be reckless, because that'll be irresponsible for me saying it. But that money was put into place to be used to buy stuff, to stimulate the economy per se. So if we look at it from that aspect, and we look at what companies did in retrospect of the following of stimulus and PPP, that goes back to Van Cat's original point from the beginning of the show. Companies took advantage of that. And when the alleviation took place as far as the dropping of inflation, they chose. It wasn't because they said, oh, we got PPP money out here. They chose to keep those prices high because it was essentially more profitability. Now, you would be a dumbass to not do that from a company standpoint. If you know you can get away and there won't be any type of repercussion to keep your prices at inflation level, then I don't know what to tell you. So to blame that on people reckless in spending, though, I don't agree with that. That has to be something that has to be policy driven. We have to have some type of law, some type of policy, some type of legislation that keeps that from happening. If that was the situation, maybe you wouldn't see the I guess you say the taking advantage of certain parameters when it comes to stimulus payment from Trevor's standpoint. So I get both points. Go ahead.
AMD, I didn't want nobody to think Venkat made me run away. I hit the wrong button because my daughter.
No, it's all good.
My daughter says she can't go to sleep, so I gotta go because I'm getting too loud. But listen, I understand my role in these conversations. I get it. And y'all will never agree with nothing I'm saying because it's just like on Mondays. You know, I get criticized.
I disagree with you.
No, I'm saying though, but I get criticized because now all of a sudden I'm talking about the ain't shit dudes, and now it's a problem when I spent 2 years talking about glorifying men. So it's just that same way here. When I point out the percentage that's frivolously spending and doing stupid stuff, I'd like to do a study on the people that got those PPP loans and stimulus and all that and what they actually spent the money on. And now watch Venkat say, well, you can't tell them what they can spend the money on. Well, then you can't complain that they don't have.
Never said that. Never said that.
You can't have it both ways.
Never said that.
I know that's where you're gonna go.
I know a couple of them. I know a couple of people got PPP loans that blew it. But what I'm telling you is we talking about niggas. Niggas is a blip on the radar though, Trevor. They a blip.
But MD, you can't not shine a light on that. That's all I'm saying. All I'm doing is saying, hey, look at the other side. But every time I do that, it's like, oh no, you can't do that because some people, you know, are really struggling. I know people are struggling. That would be stupid for me to say that they aren't. But
out of 100%, you're focusing on a very small fraction and making that the larger story. And then the larger portion has to now, yes, the larger portion.
You say it's small, but you can't show me one number. You still have yet to show me any number.
Why is it that I have to do your teaching and your learning? You're the one that's lacking. You need to go and get in them books and dig in the mud and find those damn information that you need. I thought that universally we all were on that page.
Venkat, I'm good, brother. Don't worry about it. I'm good.
So can we set that debate up? Can we does
he don't want to do it? He don't want to do it because he wouldn't be able to control the situation and just talk. He'd actually have to show real facts, and that he cannot do because I'd wipe him. And that's the truth of the matter. I offered to debate him a year ago on something else, and all he said was because he don't want to do it, because you can't just pull stuff out of the air. You got to actually come out and bring some info and put it on the paper. And he don't want to do that against me because I am telling you emphatically that I would destroy him on any economic debate. I don't care what you want to do.
Oh Lord!
Yes, there you go.
Just on the record, I disagree with that aspect. I don't think I agree with Venkat. It's a blip on the radar. I don't think that niggatry has any substantial impact on what we talking about right now as it pertains to economic disdain. Like I don't like look at it. This what we're going through right now.
As long as it has to do something with niggas, that blip is good enough for Trevor. That blip good enough for that blip.
Because when it come to voting, you criticize them, but they don't mean anything, right?
What do you mean by that?
When it come to voting and they want to go the other way, then you criticize them. So it's okay to do that. But when I'm saying, hey, spend your money correctly, when I'm saying spend your money correctly, I can't say that, right?
No, but you're trying to use them. You're trying to use them to bring down the other portion that's just trying to make it in this work.
Right. Hey, MD, man, thanks for letting me come up, man. And for the record, I still love y'all. I don't have no hatred for you. We just don't agree. So I will bow out because I gotta go. I don't know
why you're leaving. I mean, there's nothing to leave about.
I gotta go, man.
We're having a discussion, but Trevor, there's this thing called Google. There's this thing called Google. You could do a lot of good research on that one, Trevor.
You should try using it. Hey,
it's called Google.
I listen to Dave Ramsey now. I give him some good tips. Yeah. You think he a dumbass because he called you on your shit and he called people to the fire. That's why you don't like him. You just like everybody else. When somebody try to correct you, you don't want to listen to him. Oh, get out of here, man. That is why people that look like us are in the situation that they're in. There you go.
All
fellas,
right, Trevor,
I'm
man.
gone.
Have a good night, man. Good night. I concur with you, Van Cat. Dave Ramsey is a dumbass.
I used to watch him. And then I saw the elevate. I saw the evolving of, okay, this guy is not all there. And people like that, they usually try to tie themselves around some good points to legitimize their bull. And Trevor just falling for that, drinking the Kool-Aid, bathing in ignorance, as I would say.
Yeah, Dave Ramsey, like I said, we gonna get off of it after. Dave Ramsey, he says a lot of things that are like common sense. Like anybody, I could take those calls and tell you the same shit Dave Ramsey tells.
Exactly.
Like, it's common sense shit. At the end of the day, I'm not disputing what Trevor said as it pertains to frivolous spending. We know that it happens. I'm saying that has no impact whatsoever on the market at large. Niggas spending money. It just don't. That goes back to the point where what I said years ago, this myth that we got all this spending power in the black community, it don't work that way. If you add up all the spending power, quote unquote now, spending power in the black community, it's going to obtain recurrent payments, mortgages, car notes, blah, 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 this and that, in totality, meaning the total of that. So if I own a house that's worth $100,000, they're going to add that quote unquote spending power, not based off my mortgage, or that they're going to add totality of the house. I ain't paid for the house yet, but they're going to add it each and every year because it's an asset. That's not a correct way of adding value or from a capital standpoint, it is, but we don't base spending power based off capital. And that's where a lot of people get shit wrong. Dave Ramsey do that. You know what I'm saying? You can't add me to a car that I'm still paying on that hell may stop if I lose my job. I'm still on that spending power, but I ain't got no money. How is that possible? I got a mortgage for $100,000 house. I'm just using $100,000 house. I ain't got no job. They finna foreclose. That's some hell of a spending power. So we got to stop using these adages that are not based in reality. That's what I'll say about that particular situation.
Right.
So, and also, I just gave the stat, over 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. That's a fact.
And I'm talking like we all understand that, and clearly some niggas need to dig deeper in the mud because they just don't get it. They don't get it.
And again, that's me. Van Cat, he got a particular thing where he make me put my blue hat on. You have to understand what real wages are versus the reality of what you spend day to day.
Right.
And for a lot of people, that shit just don't add up.
It doesn't.
It just don't add up. If I'm tie it back into the tariff situation, if you have a situation where your real world wages don't reflect the real world spending, that's the problem. How do you alleviate that problem? You do it by tackling price gouging. You do it by making sure, if we're going to look at it from a union standpoint, Sean Fain, I'm doing this just for you, Van Cat. If we're going to look at it from a, we're going to make sure that those real live wages reflect production, supply, demand, et cetera, and that way you can initialize some type of growth. Inflation, 2% to 3% inflation is a good thing. Why? Because it shows economic growth. If you got 0%, and this is for the MAGA maniac dumbass.
Yeah.
If you got 0% inflation, that means your economy is nothing. It's like people don't understand that. I told you when we was on the show a couple weeks ago, a dumbass said he wanted 0% inflation. I was like, do you understand what that means? If you got we were under 0% inflation during COVID. Why? because the fucking country was shut down. You can't be this stupid. When you have a certain jolt, whether it be too much money in the economy or not enough goods in the economy or a combination of both, you get a jolt, which results in a spike in inflation. You don't want that. So you want it steady at around 2 to 3% to show that economic growth versus the goods and services that are in that economy. It's simple. Even I can understand it. But when we talk about putting tariffs on Martinique and the damn McDonald Islands, that ain't doing you no good at all. Because we are the spenders of the world. We buy the world shit. That's what we do. We're American. There will always be a trade deficit with America because we are the world's consumers. We consume the world's stuff. Nobody can out-consume us. It's impossible. So if we understand these aspects and stop playing MAGA maniac games, we'll be better off. And I'll end the show on that. You got anything else, Bankhead?
The other thing I want to say is Trevor act like everybody's against him. I'm damn sure not against him. But in his mind, he thinks it's Trevor versus the world, but it's not. We have great discussion.
Y'all just gonna have to have a debate, man. Y'all just gonna have to have a debate.
That was great discussion. I don't know about this debate, though. I don't know how all of a sudden I got to change who I fundamentally am. I ain't trying to debate and look up statistics and all this other crap. I see it. I log it in my brain. I don't want to have to write out a regiment and a class. I'm not a teacher or anything like that. I don't try to do all that. But what I find and what I see, I log it in my mind. I wish other people would do as well. But I'm not here trying to go out here to be Oprah Winfrey or somebody like that. I ain't trying to do all that crap. But, you know, he wants me to do and make myself accommodate what he's interested in. I'm not interested in that crap, not even a little bit. I'm not. But he thinks it's the world against him, especially me, which is not. Just having great conversation and needed conversation. And that's what it should be. So I always like when Trevor come on here. He should come on more often because it's good. It's good. And for me, I don't even, like, people think like I think people spend more time not listening, but just waiting to respond. I'm in the notion, I've always thought this way. If I'm talking to you and we're going back and forth, either I'm going to solidify my position or I'm going to learn something new from yours that I totally didn't get at a time. And that's happened plenty of times. It's just that Trevor is so damn wrong all the time. It's just getting annoying. All right, that's it, MD.
Yeah. Oh, Trevor said you won't do it because you're afraid.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah, that's what
yeah. I just look like I'm afraid. I sound like a afraid person. Yeah.
Well, it's fine. It's fine. Hey, as long as we can have dialogue and
that's what it's about, right there.
Discourse on the show, you know, it counts just as a debate. You know, it's the same thing.
Damn right.
But yeah, we ought to do this more often, man. We'll find the time. We'll find the time. But like I said, I had to come in here and address this situation because again, I don't think it constituted what the mainstream media, independent media has been doing a great job with it. But the mainstream media, I don't think they put enough onus on the severity of like what this means. Like I said, China alone scares me. China alone, because again, we get literally everything from China. Literally. If you shop at Walmart and Target, you should be afraid.
Yep.
You should be very afraid.
Well, I don't shop at Target ever again in my life, but whatever.
Well, you know, I'm a Walmart guy myself, but it's the same thing. So we'll see what happens, man, in the coming months. That's all I can say. But we'll find it's Trump, so something else will happen in between the week.
I know. Every time you think you're gonna have a break, some bull. And you know what's funny though? We're talking about this and about the tariffs and about the crashing and all this other stuff. But you know what we ain't talking about? What we were just talking about, which is that email leak, that text leak, I should say. Whatever we can take to take the heat off of Pete Hetsick and all these other jackasses because they should be fired. And he doesn't want to fire them. So let's make some noise somewhere else so we forget about that. And I don't hear anybody talking about that right now. And that's what they did.
What Trevor talking about? He said it's crazy that people that hate foreigners so much are so scared to tax them. I'm assuming you're talking about Trump, but like I said, man, it's more stuff coming down the pipe. There's more stuff coming down the pipe. So whenever we get an opportunity again, maybe we can get a little bit more consistent on Thursdays. And like I said, Tuesdays at some point in time, maybe that's a better day. Now that TFP is off of Straight Talk, maybe Tuesdays will be a better day. We'll see. We'll see. But shout out to everybody that came through. Eddie Israel, Ricardo, Kelly Ray came through. The resident Magamaniac. She always good to come through. You know what I'm saying? And Tequila and everybody else that came through tonight, man. Impromptu show. Like I didn't plan on doing the show tonight, but it was just so much stuff happening, man. I was like, I got to talk about it. So all right, time for everybody to go to sleep. Most. I'm gonna look into that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna look into it right now. But everybody be on the lookout for the next show. When that's gonna be, I don't know, but just be on the lookout. So and like I said, TFP will return. Just give me some time. Give me a plan, and we're gonna bring it back over here at MD20. So
that's right.
With that being said, man, I'm gonna say peace, everybody. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Peace.